Okay, and we're on air. So welcome everyone to the fifth in our series of SoSent Hangouts. My name's Natasha and I'm from startsomegood.com, the crowdfunding platform for social change, and also the host of today's Hangout. So as we always say at Start Some Good, we're dedicated to helping change makers like you make a difference. And these series of Hangouts are designed to give you practical skills and knowledge to help you do that. Now today's topic is one that I'm very, very excited about, and one that when we were telling people about, it was one that they were very, very enthusiastic about and seemed to really hit a nerve there. So today we're going to be talking about Changemaker Sustainability, how to prevent burnout and how to improve your productivity. I guess working in this space, there's so many fantastic people like yourselves who are out there working to create a better world, but who, as a result, often end up, possibly ignoring or sidestepping their own health and well-being. So today's Hangout, we're going to explore how those working in social innovation can avoid the pitfall of burnout, some strategies that have worked to help others overcome this, what lifestyle changes we can make in order to better ourselves and our causes, and then also how we can improve our productivity to achieve more in less time. So we're going to start off with a discussion with our very fantastic panel who we've got here today. And then the second half of the panel will be a practical session with Erin O'Brien from Activate 28, leading a mini action power hour, which won't actually go for an hour, but we'll get a good dose of that. So we're going to be rolling up our sleeves and taking action on one thing that you need to do. So whether it be, helping you to write a blog post, write an email that you keep putting off, or getting your receipts together. So I'd like to introduce our panel to start off with. So we have Erin O'Brien from Activate 28.
Hi, Tash.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. We have Brendan Rigby, who is the co-founder of YDev, and also the Director of Venture Support at Start Some Good.
Cool, good morning and good evening.
Depending on where you are in the world. And we have Cynthia Phillips, who is involved in a number of projects, which we'll hear about in just a second when I get Cynthia to introduce herself. We've got you on the other end, Cynthia?
I'm sorry? Do you want me to go ahead?
Just double checking that. In 1 second, I'll just get you to hold up for one. Okay. We'll just get through some housekeeping first, just to let everyone know how it's going to run today. So today we're going to start off with a discussion, as we said, and then go into the action power hour. Just a few housekeeping things. If you do have questions or comments during today's Hangout, please do tweet them through on the hashtag SoSentHangout. So that's SoCentHangout, or in the comments section on the page that you are most likely on, which you can get to at http://bit.ly/SoSentHangout5. And as an added incentive to do that, we'll actually be giving away a 45-minute coaching session with Erin on a topic of your choice. So if you want to be in the running to get that, please do tweet on the hashtag or comment on the page. So with that said, let's kick things off. So I'd just love to hear a little bit about the space that each of you guys work in and your interest in this particular topic. So we might kick things off with you, Erin.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Hi, everyone, and yes, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Erin, and I work for Activate 28. So I've been specifically helping change makers with their well-being and their productivity. So I help people who are feeling overwhelmed and stressed even when they're doing great work in the world. And this is a really a topic really close to my heart. So professionally, I see lots of people who are like brilliant change makers, and it makes me feel really sad to see them, struggling and stressed out, sometimes on the brink of burning out or dropping out of the work that they're doing just because it feels too much. And ironically, when change makers burn out or drop out of their work, not only are they suffering themselves physically or emotionally or financially, but the causes they're passionate about suffer too. So that's where my personal or my professional passion lies, is helping the causes by helping the people that are fueling those causes. And also on a personal note, I've burnt out myself, so I don't want to see other people go down that path.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I have noticed working in the space is that it's often hard to speak to change makers about their own personal health and well-being, but when you do communicate that, this is a matter of them being able to continue their work in the field that they're going in, that's something that really seems to resonate with them. So we'll head over to you next, Brendan.
Cool. Well, I think we come at it from a similar angle as Erin and Activate 28, but in the humanitarian aid space. And our team at YDev are all far-flung and over the world, and we've experienced this ourselves in terms of the isolation, the stress, the anxiety, and there's just no systems, there's no tools, there's no really groups in place that you can turn to, even within your organization, but also particularly outside of your organization. And so having experienced this ourselves and seen our friends go through it, we want to put some online tools particularly in place that aid workers and humanitarian workers can access wherever they happen to be in the world. Because I think, as you both said, we know that this happens, and everyone knows that it's there, we know that it's happening, but very little to this day is being done about it.
And I think that's a really exciting space as well. I mean, the ability for online tools to really assist with this now, especially in situations where people are physically isolated in very remote areas of the world. We'll head over to you next, Cynthia. Now, I couldn't possibly do justice to all the projects that you're working on at the moment, and working with changemakers all over the world in different spaces. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you're up to, and I guess some of the observations that you've seen working in this space.
Oh, sure, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to everyone today, and to be on such a great panel. I wish I could meet you guys in person. I'm an economist by training, and so I'm very interested in the economic development space, and I actually used to work in corporate life, so I have some different training and tools. I used to be in risk management and marketing at American Express across the globe, and I have a passion for storytelling, a passion for helping stories get out there, and helping change makers be noticed, and also be empowered with marketing tools and data analytics and so on. So I left corporate life and I created something called the Social Change Film Festival, which is now the Global Shift Festival, that I'm happy to say Natasha and her sister Karina have been part of, and critical parts of it. And then I've also created a connected TV channel in the U.S., and we're also doing some stuff with Hulu in the U.S. to get people's content in front of a large audience, and then working in the tech space to create an app that helps nonprofits get noticed as well in a cool way, I hope. So you're welcome all to, I'm sure the information, my email can be shared by Natasha, but I'm happy to talk with anyone who's got some great content they'd like to see some action with. That's my mission in life, is to make sure filmmakers and change makers stories really reach the audience, and the audience is empowered to act and are guided to act. So within that, and one of the reasons I mentioned Karina and Natasha, who's our host, is that it's critical who you partner with to avoid burnout. While we like drama on the page and screen, I'm sure we all do, we don't need drama when we're trying so hard to solve critical issues. And it's really hard sometimes to know how to partner well with people, set your boundaries. I mean, because I think that takes most of my energy as opposed to the actual work. Is making sure everyone's running around in a happy way. Luckily, Natasha is perfect, and I don't have to do anything, because she's perfect. But a lot of times I have partners. You have to put out a lot of fires because they haven't they haven't got the same level of integrity other people do, or just didn't know what to do, or there's a variety of reasons why a partner doesn't pan out and show up for themselves or you or the cause. So I think that's one big thing that contributes to burnout is just not partnering well. if that is a helpful comment, I hope.
Yeah, sorry, I think I was just on mute there. Yeah, I was just going to say that's a very interesting perspective. I guess a lot of the times people think about, strategies and techniques and things they can personally do to prevent burnout, but I think that's a great point, and is that the fact that sometimes it is just the people you're around and making sure you take steps to curate that, I guess, in some way. I'd like to turn to you now, Erin, just to kick things off.
Sure.
I guess working with changemakers, what are some of the key strategies or ways that you address burnout in the work that you do?
Yeah, so one of the main ways that I address this isolation feeling, Brendan mentioned it before, so I just want to paint a picture. I've worked with over 900 people, helping them with time management, and practically every single one of them has said to me, I thought I was the only one that has this problem. I'm the only one that's suffering from an overflowing inbox. I'm the only one that can't manage my time. I've got too many projects on their own. And I couldn't believe that so many people felt the same way and thought that everyone else had it all under control. So there's this stigma around that because we're helping other people, typically in our change-making work, that we should be able to help ourselves. But we all need help. I mean, I need help. I'm a social entrepreneur coach, but I need a coach as much as anyone else does. And yeah, I think that's the main thing that I do, is I create community and I help people understand that it's okay to ask for help, that other people are in the same boat. And then, of course, once that feeling, like that thing of, okay, so I'm not the only one, once that's taken away, then we can actually get down to business and start learning some real tools. So we look at things like how to manage projects and have different things on the run at the same time, how to allocate your time so that you're really working on your most high value action. Because, we all have long to-do lists and we need to be really ruthless in our prioritization. They're just two things that I can think of. I've got a whole bunch more, but I'll throw it over to you, Tash.
Excellent. Yeah, so I guess the first one is one that everybody right now can kind of take a breath and listen to, is the fact that you're not alone. Everybody goes, this is something that everybody's experiencing. Brendan, I'm sure you can add some perspectives to that from, your work at YDev and why you started that up.
Yeah, it's an interesting feeling, isn't it? There's all these, you're surrounded by all these people who are in the same space as you, yet you think your situation is unique. But it's not, is it? Your situation is probably, actually, I would believe, is quite mundane. That the things that you're experiencing are things that not only change makers and humanitarian workers experience. It's mental health issues and well-being issues that everyone in society experiences. So I think once you get over that, once you get over the idea that what you're experiencing and your situation, it's not unique, then you're more open to explore ways that you can try and prevent and also treat your well-being issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess part of it as well that I've really noticed, and something that I think I have a problem with, is that there's, I guess, in a lot of these spaces where people, it doesn't, like you said, just have to be, social change. It's in, the corporate world. There is this glorification of, being busy and, having a lot of projects, when that might not necessarily be the best thing for everyone. Cynthia, I'd like to hear, I guess, your perspectives on that, as somebody working in the field and who has done so for a good amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I live in Silicon Valley. I happen to be in Hong Kong right now, but I live in Silicon Valley, and so there's the land of startups, and there's many lands of startups nowadays. But so there's kind of burnout with that, and a lot of social entrepreneurs that are starting for-profit companies and things. So it's kind of, and Brendan's right, everyone's quite right. It is mundane. I mean, it is typical, and this, this idea of running around. You're running around very busy and getting a lot done is kind of glorified. So I do think that is just commonplace, and then also then feeling a little bit ashamed that you're burnt out or an oddball. So I think the more that these kind of hangouts take place and people can be open with discussion, I think we could share those stories so that people can connect And you know, and it's not just about, you know, we only usually hear from people in a flurry when they're raising money for their organization or worried about something, and the money is only as important as the health of the organization and her people. So I think that we should probably have maybe friend-raising marathons too, or commiserating marathons or something like that. But you know, so that people can find that support. And it is such a world of difference when you know you're not alone in the way you're feeling, for sure. So,
absolutely. Brendan, actually, I'd like to throw it to you on that one. I guess with YDev, you kind of kicked things off with the pilot project and then had some very interesting results that came out of that and feedback from the people that participated in the peer support program. Yeah, I guess what kind of changes did you see? And what kind of feedback did you get on the program?
Yeah, so we took a really interesting approach, which I think feeds off what Cynthia was saying about, you know, making sure that you have the right people, that you partner with the right people. So we you know, built a platform that would partner people in peer-to-peer partnerships, and we essentially took a page out of the guidebook for online dating websites in how we did that, you know, and trying to get the matches right and what variables should we be looking at, and so we're essentially matching up random strangers who are on opposite ends of the world and doing, you know, quite different work but had similar experiences. And we found a lot of what we've touched on today about people realizing that they're not alone, that they can gain a lot by having a peer that sits outside of all their networks. You know, someone who's not a family member, someone who's not a friend, someone who's not in their organization. Having that stranger is actually really powerful because you can be a little bit more open, you can talk a little bit more honestly, because you're not going to get that judgment that you get from family and friends. You're not going to get that perhaps negative blowback if it's someone within your organization, and you don't have to think about office politics. And yeah, and people just like being able to talk. You know, we all love to talk. We love to talk about ourselves. We love to talk about our fears and our expectations, but we often don't get enough space to do that. And having a complete stranger to do that with, I think, is a real safe space to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic point about you know, being able to communicate without you know filtering yourself, without censoring yourself, and just the immense therapeutic value of that is very interesting. So we're going to wrap up the first part of the Hangout, the discussion, and move on to the Hour of Power with Erin. But before we do that, I just want to get some final thoughts from each of you, I guess, on your, I guess, is there any final words of advice, you know, for people out there who might be experiencing, you know, a sense of being overwhelmed or burnt out? We will definitely hear more from you, Erin, but maybe kick this one off with you.
Yeah, sure. So the one thing I would probably say is I call it 80% out the door is better than 100% in the drawer. So a lot of people on the brink of burnout are holding onto this idea of perfectionism, and it's better done than perfect. So just to drop your standards, and often those standards are still higher than what other people are expecting. So give yourself, cut yourself some slack.
Yeah, I think everybody's their own worst critic, and I think it's important to remember that. We'll head to you next, Cynthia.
Well, I think, Erin, I think that's really wise. And then also, one thing that I've found is if you really, really know you need to stop, listen to that and stop, because you know what? You can take a day off, and the world will not crumble, I think. No, I'm just kidding. But, you can take that day off because you feel brand new. Turn off your computer, turn off your digital devices, and give yourself some time to find yourself again, because we can get so passionate, and we are so passionate. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But really take that time, because I find that I call it re-perspectivication, because you get a little chance to turn down the noise and up the volume of your spirit, and I think it's really important. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be okay. Don't answer that email straight away. And Brendan, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to reach out to those like Cynthia, to those like Erin, to those like myself, because there is a growing community building around well-being for change makers and for humanitarian workers, and we're really keen to hear from you and to support you and to point you in the right direction if we can. So don't be afraid to really reach out to people in the space. We won't bite.
Absolutely. Oh, just getting a bit of noise there. Yeah, that's a great point. And I guess on that, also don't be the one, scared to initiate that conversation as well. Don't be the one scared to, admit that feeling of overwhelmness to someone, because, that could be value to them. They have to be their chance to, open up to you. So thank you very much to Brendan and Cynthia for joining us. That was really fantastic and great to hear your insights. And we will be putting up a blog post after the Hangout with the links to YDev, with the links to GMedia and the work that Cynthia does. So if you want to reach out to them, as Brendan said, we'll give you the opportunity to do that. So we'll say goodbye to Cynthia and Brendan. Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a great day.
You're welcome, guys. Thanks, Tash. Good night. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Erin, we've still got you here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, now I'm going to turn it over to you for our Action Power Hour.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry, I just hit my microphone. I hope I didn't deafen anyone in the process. So yeah, this is a mini Action Power Hour. Usually I do like a whole 60-minute Action Power Hour, but we're going to do maybe 15-minute one today. And the idea is we're going to choose one thing that you need to be doing, and I'm going to show you how the power of community can make it easier. Okay, so let's all just take just a moment just to think about something that you might be procrastinating on, or that feels really hard, or you feel stuck on. So it might be a blog post, it might be, as Tash said before, finding some receipts that you need, or updating your LinkedIn profile, whatever it is. Just think of one thing.
Okay, got mine.
Yeah, and great. I'm happy to hear, Tash, you being my guinea pig on air as well. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Twitter. So if everyone can go to Twitter, or Tash, we've also got the other page happening as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got the blog post as well, where you can comment.
Is that bit.ly/prevent burnout?
Sorry, that's bit.ly/SoSentHangout5.
Of course, thank you. So in either of those places, we're going to be doing this, and it takes a little bit of a leap of courage, especially if you're a fairly private person. But yeah, I'd love you just to trust me and give it a go and see how it goes for you. So what I'd like everyone to do is to use the hashtag #SoSentHangout. Is that the right one, Tash?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So we're going to use the word #SoSentHangout, and I'm going to demonstrate on Twitter. So if you're over on Twitter, you can see it over there as well.
I'm going to jump over there too.
Beautiful. And what we're going to do is say, for this 15 minutes, my next 15-minute goal is, and I would like you to write the thing that we spoke about before, that you thought about before. So for me, I'm actually going to try to do a very mini one, but I'll be here to answer any questions as well. But I'm going to go into LinkedIn and check something there. So I'm going to say my next 15-minute goal is edit LinkedIn profile. So we should see a whole bunch of people on Twitter or on the blog post page joining in. And once you've committed to your first one, then I'll give you the next instruction. And there's also a prize up for grabs. So if you're needing that little bit of a push to reach out, then there's a $120 valued prize of a coaching session with me. All
Yeah, when I
right.
heard about that one, I was very upset that I was hosting the Hangout.
Awesome. All right. So once you've committed to something there, either in your mind or out loud, then the next step is to decide what the first mini step is. So we're looking at the next 5 minutes. What's something you can do in the next 5 minutes towards that? So some examples. If you've got a blog post that you want to be writing, you could maybe do a crappy first draft of 1 paragraph in 5 minutes. And I want you to write that into the Twitter chat as well. So first 5 minutes, write crappy first draft of 1 paragraph. And then press enter, and then go do 5 minutes of action, and we will meet back in 5 minutes. And if anyone has any questions or needs some guidance around this, I'm more than happy to help you. Sometimes it's hard to think of what the first 5 minute step would be. And you can ask those questions on Twitter or on the blog post page.
I'll just have to head over there and writing my 15-minute call. Okay, so just like to give a hello to Sonia, who had a question before that I will reply to on the blog post. So Sonia, just to up to you, was asking if there's something similar to YDEV but for social entrepreneurs, and I'd like to point her your way to Activate 28, Erin.
Thanks a lot. So for people who are choosing to do this without typing it out publicly, it's absolutely fine, and just focus on one small action, and we've got another 3 minutes or so before we're going to do our first check-in.
Okay, so we've got some people, a lot of people following up with blog posts. That seems to be one that people want to avoid, but that people are willing to tackle now. I can understand that.
Yes, and believe me, I need to put into practice all these things as well, so I use Action Power Hour myself.
I've got a couple of people with a few questions there as well that we'll get to before the end of the Hangout as well. I'd like to give a shout out to Jesse, whose goal for the next 15 minutes is to finish a chapter for his final exams. Okay, yep, following up with emails and phone calls is one that I can definitely follow suit on as well, Alicia.
Okay, so that was 5 minutes, and at this point, typically people are either like, whoa, how did that happen so fast, or I didn't get anything done. So the rule is, if it feels too overwhelming still, or you don't feel like you're getting very far, you need to break it down into even smaller amounts. So you know when I was saying before, one paragraph in 5 minutes, if that wasn't realistic for you, you might do a crappy first draft, or focus on 2 sentences rather than the whole paragraph. So just keep making it smaller, and the smaller you can make it, the bigger the sense of accomplishment. And we all tend to
I think
go
with
too
mine
big.
I had to be a bit more specific.
A bit more specific? Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think with mine I had to be a bit more specific. I started doing it and I was like, I don't know where the end point of this first mini goal is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we're going to do it again. So the next 5 minutes, if you want to tweet it or put it on the blog or just in your mind, just get crystal clear. What's the mini action that you're going to do in the next 5 minutes?
Okay, so we're breaking it down into 5-minute blocks here with our power hour with Erin. So yeah, if you're out there, tell us what you are going to try and achieve in your 5-minute block now. Milana, that one sounds like a big one. So Milana's 15-minute goal is to scope out the core elements of their next big pilot proposal.
Awesome. It sounds really big as well. It sounds like there's lots of parts to that. So yeah, I really encourage you to get really small and specific.
Fiona Armstrong has a very important one. 15-minute goal for the SoSent Hangout is to send that fundraising letter.
Awesome, that sounds good.
Okay, Erin, do you have a chance to answer a question here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sure. So we just had a question from Matthew Griffith, who was wondering what's the best way to ask for support from family, friends, and other organisations? I guess how to start that conversation off.
Yeah, wow, what a big question, and it's a really important one as well. Like if you can get people on your side, whether they be professionals or in your personal life, yeah, it would really help. So I'd say we need to tackle it in 2 ways. Friends and family are kind of a different kettle of fish to the professional support. So in terms of friends and family, being able to sit down and have a conversation and discuss what you need as well as what's in it for them. So unfortunately we humans are quite self-centered. So if you can explain that if they're able to support you, then you can be a much more, present person, much less stressed, more available, then they're more likely to respond. So framing in that way can be really helpful, and to be very clear and specific. You know how we're just doing the 5-minute mini things we're talking about and how to be really specific around them? It's the same thing. So when you need to ask for support from someone, don't just say, oh, I really need you to support me. You need to explain what that support might look like. So it might be, when I'm really busy in writing that proposal, I need, some space, uninterrupted space for, 3 hours on a Wednesday evening or something like that. Or I really need support by, you asking me how I'm going. If I kind of go into my cave and don't emerge for a week, I need you to step up and say, come on, it's time for us to go out and go for a walk or go to dinner or do something. So be very specific about what sort of support you need, and also frame it in a way that is accessible to them, appealing to them. So that's for family and friends. Yeah, and for professionals, it's a similar sort of similar sort of motivation. You need to explain what's in it for them as well, and how the synergy will happen, the collaboration will happen, and they can benefit as well. And you can ask for things of, okay, this is what I'm needing, what are you needing, and how can we both find that overlapping bit that can work for us together? Because often they've got needs as well. So yeah, open up that conversation and ask for specific help and say, how can I help you as well? And that can often result really well.
I think, yeah, that's a great point about needing to be specific. I think, you know, we often assume that we're communicating, you know, what our needs are, and, you know, we often assume that it's really clear to people what we might need, you know, or that we, or even the fact that we might be stressed at all. We often think it's very clear to people, but often it just takes being a little bit clearer and a little bit more specific. So that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have time for another question before this 5-minute block is over, or should I save it for the next 5-minute block?
Yeah, let's save it up for the next 5-minute block. So,
okay.
Just a quick call out to everyone. If you're publicly posting this, it's a chance for you to check in. This time I actually want you to mention how you went in the last 5 minutes. So you might say, yep, those 2 sentences got done. Or, oh no, I got distracted, I was on Twitter and started looking at my notifications. It's okay, and being honest is really helpful. Just kind of give a real quick synopsis of what you've just done, and then my next 5 minutes, and this is going to be our last one, probably be a bit less than 5. So type in how you went in the last 5 minutes, what you're doing for the next 5, and then get to it.
So I'm just typing, but I definitely got distracted checking in with everyone on Twitter, but definitely will be using the technique, the 5-minute blocks after this. Okay, so are we able to go to another question for a second, Erin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we just had a question from Stefano and Jesse. How do you deal with the sense of guilt when you're away from your work?
I heard this quote once and I love it. It's better to say no and feel guilty than say yes and be resentful.
Okay.
So, yeah, guilt is part of the game. You know, sometimes people can get over the guilt, and sometimes we just have to learn to coexist with it. So I remind myself that it's better for me to walk away from my work and feel guilty about it than to sit there and push myself through it and feel resentful and end up, you know, getting sick or whatever. So it's better to feel guilty than resentful. And in terms of coexisting with the guilt, sometimes I like to kind of, I'm just laughing to myself, I like to personify my work. So I pretend that it's actually a person or it has a personality. And I kind of have a conversation with it and explain to it that, you know, I'm sorry that I won't be able to spend time with you today and blah, blah, blah. And I find that just makes me laugh and not take the whole thing so seriously. So that's a personal technique that I use. Pretend that it's a person, the work itself. And if it's a real person that you have to say no to, yeah, then you might have to also explain where you're coming from and that you want, that you want to be sustainable and you can't keep pushing yourself and you need to step away. Did that answer the question, Tash, do you think? I think we might have lost Tash. Are you there, Tash?
I'm back. I've
You're back?
Yes.
I was just going to say, if that didn't answer the question fully, I didn't catch a person's name. Was it Stefano, maybe?
Yeah, Stefano Jesse.
Yep.
The Twitter handle is, yeah.
Definitely welcome to reach out to me on Twitter or via email. So, one last question maybe, and then we'll wrap up?
Okay, let's just have a look here. Okay, so we've got a question from Nifty Corp. What if your problem, I guess this goes along the same lines as probably Jesse's thinking, what if your problem is not being able to stop doing things?
Yeah, and there's actually biochemical reasons there's why that happens. It's a lot to do with dopamine in our brains. Yeah, so a few things that help. I find that people that join in Action Power Hour are able to monitor that a little bit better because there's an accountability to a group and you speak out loud where you're at. That's one way that some of my clients in the past have found to stop. Another is setting a timer and putting the timer like an alarm clock. You have to keep it away from your bed, like putting the timer away from your desk, for example, having to get up and move away from that. And having some sort of buddy, if you are working in the same space as someone, having some regular timeouts. So, all right, I'll meet you at the water cooler at 3 p.m. Or if you're working online, the virtual water cooler or something like that. So yeah, being able to be clear that you need an end point and having some sort of alarm or something similar to get you away from it.
That's a good point as well about making a commitment with other people. This is something I often do with exercise, is that if you're committed to doing it with somebody else, then, you know, it's so much easier to, you know, sidestep meetings with yourself rather than when you commit to doing them with somebody else.
Absolutely.
So it looks like a bunch of people are checking back in saying they did achieve some of their mini goals, which is great.
Wonderful. And so, yeah, that was just over 15 minutes. So it's a good indication as well of what can actually get done in 15 minutes if we're really focused.
We just had a little bit of a dropout there.
Okay.
Yep, but we're back.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Erin. That looks like helped. Yeah, a lot of things happen across the globe there with everybody breaking everything up in 5-minute blocks and checking back in. So I guess we might announce the winner of the coaching session.
Would you like to have the honour, Tash?
Excellent. Yeah, so as I was saying before, I've been monitoring the Twitter conversation throughout, and we are, okay, so somebody who has been particularly active during the SOSENT Hangout is Matthew Griffith. And so he is the winner of the coaching session with Erin. So Matthew, you'll be getting a 45-minute coaching session on the topic of your choice. So yeah, a chance to follow up on the Power Hour today. And we'll get in touch with you via Twitter.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Okay, so Erin, I guess just to wrap up, are there any final words, final tips that you'd like to send people whether off on their days with, depending on the part of the world they're in, or that they can
yeah.
start putting into play tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I find that Action Power Hour, the mini Action Power Hour of 15-minute chunks is really helpful even if you're going solo. So yeah, that's one of the tips that I have in my ebook actually that's on my website. So I have a free opt-in and it's called 4 Quick Tips for Getting Unstuck. And there are 3 other tips there that are the most popular tips that I have. So yeah, that would be my number one thing, is to put it into action. Don't talk about it, do it.
Great.
Yeah.
And so the website is, sorry, what's the address of the website?
The website should be down here, www.activate28.com.
Yep.
And I just will also mention that I've got a new ebook that's going to be coming out for my subscribers, and it's going to be released in 2 weeks' time, and it's called On the Brink of Burnout, Take this Changemaker Stress Test and Find Out Your Risk. So it touches on a lot of the topics that we spoke about today, and I'm really excited to release it. So people who are already on my subscriber list will be getting free access to that as well.
Excellent. Definitely looking forward to that one coming up. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for in today's Hangout, although I do feel like definitely we got a lot done today. So I'd like to thank our guests. So Erin, of course, it's been absolutely wonderful having you here today and help guide us through the Action Power Hour, and for your words of advice, and also to Cynthia and Brendan, who were here earlier. So that's it for this month's SOSANT Hangout. I hope that it provided some valuable tips and advice for everybody out there who was watching. This video will be available directly after the Hangout on our blog at Start Some Good, or on the page bit.ly/SOSANT Hangout. So this has been hosted by StartSomeGood.com, the crowdfunding platform for social impact projects. And you can stay up to date with all our work and future SOSANT Hangouts by following us on Twitter at @StartSomeGood, or connecting with us on Facebook, or by sending us an email at hello@startsomegood.com. So with that, I'd like to say farewell to you all for today, and good luck with all the projects that you're working on. Look forward to hearing how they all go, and feel free to continue tweeting on the SOSANT Hangout hashtag. We'll see you all next time.